Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Cinema Savvy. It is myself, George, joined by two very special guests for another episode of the Pixar Retrospective, the fourth episode. And today we're going to be reviewing Monsters, Inc., which released in 2001. And I'm delighted to be joined by Neil Vagg and Clarisse Loughrey. How are we both doing tonight?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Very well, thanks.
I'm good. Why do I feel like it's so much later than it is?
Yeah.
It's November.
It's because it's
It is
dark
what it
early.
is.
It's it feels like it's the middle of the night when it's only like 7:00 in the evening. It's wild. I can't adjust to it.
Yeah, and it's cold. My heart is cold. The world is cold. But I'm excited to talk about Sully. My friend Sully.
It's both cold and it's not late, but you're right, it feels a lot late. It feels like I'm on at like 9:10. And it's one of those evening streams, but it's actually 7:15 on a Sunday night, for anyone curious. We are pre-recording this early. At the time this going up, it is mid-December, and it's the build-up to Christmas, and there's a lot of things going on in everybody's lives, so we're getting some of these pre-recorded as early as we can. For anyone that's curious about some behind the scenes, I'm doing 5 Pixar videos in the space of 11 days. Currently, my brain is a Pixar soundtrack scrambled together of everything. And this is kind of why we're doing this series. It's a retrospective on Pixar. We're looking at the history of the studio, all of the feature-length films that they have made, discussing the behind the scenes, the animation, the characters, the stories. And I'm delighted to have you both on this one. And where I do want to kickstart this episode, and I love to put people on the spot on retrospectives with it's the first appearance. Could both of you tell me if you could remember your earliest Pixar memory?
Ooh. I was thinking about this earlier, and I know I didn't see Toy Story at the cinema. I got it on VHS for Christmas that year, which I can't quite wrap my head around that being like 95, which is just wild. So that's my earliest memory is getting Toy Story, and I'm pretty sure my brother gave it to me and explaining to me what it was, and that it was this like new computer animation style that's it's not 2D, it's all 3D, and it's revolutionary. That's my earliest Pixar memory.
I don't remember anything. I must have seen Toy Story. I think my defining Pixar memory from my childhood is going to Disney World, and we went to the Bugs Life show.
Oh,
they have a 3D bug show with you 3D glasses, and they have like little animatronics come down from the ceiling. But at one point, near the end of the show, they have cockroaches. They're like, the cockroaches are coming through, and you hear like, excuse me, ma'am. And they made all the like seats like bump. There'd be something under your butt that like punched you in the ass. I just remember the blind panic of an entire auditorium of people. Like, I'm about to get punched in the ass. Like, maybe like some people were running for the doors.
Wow.
Yeah, that's my other people who might remember this ride. I believe it's closed now. Alas, people did not want to get punched in the ass.
I don't know why.
Who could have guessed?
It's going to get me started on Bugs Life again. That actually sounds amazing. It's just disappeared. I'm going to... Oh, God, we're very far away. April 2027, Star Wars Celebration. I'm going to go to Disneyland Anaheim for a day. And it was like, Avatar's coming. Oh, it'll be out this week at the time this video going up. Good plug to remind myself. I was like, Avatar Land. Oh, no, that's Orlando, not Anaheim. The Star Wars Land, okay, good, we're in, we're safe. And then it was like, oh, there's a Toy Story Land. Oh, that's Orlando too. But it'll be nice. It'll be a lot of fun. And that sounds amazing as far as rides go. I don't know if they have much Pixar stuff in Anaheim. I really hope they do.
They have Up. There's a Wilderness Explorers, so you can meet Doug, I believe. My sources tell me. Yeah, I think you can meet the characters from Up. Is that Toy Story? I think there is some
There's
Toy
got to
Story.
be something. There'll be like, there's got to be a ride. I know Pizza Planet's closed down. I don't know how actually, not to be that guy, I don't know how accurately Pizza Planet was, or whether it was just a shop with the title Pizza Planet. But that would be a great. You know how like the Hollywood, what were they called? What was the one in Leicester Square? Hollywood.
Planet Hollywood.
Planet Hollywood. I actually really like that restaurant. Granted, it was a gimmick. We used to get buy one get one free meals if you got the train to London that day, so I'd actually go a lot. And I thought the food was really
wow.
good. And I loved the nerdy film props. I was like, imagine a Pizza Planet where it's actually just like an arcade, a pizza place. It brings back many memories, and there's a reason they probably stopped doing it for reasons. But yes, sorry to say, that's an amazing memory. I'm very jealous.
That's a very cool memory. I like that.
Yeah, it is. It is. I've had to say to people, like, what can you remember? Because a lot of the people we've brought on so far are similar ages to us all. So all of us are sort of blended into our youth of, oh, we remember this, and
Yeah.
what a time. I don't know if you guys have seen it. Sorry to segue. It's the 30th anniversary of Toy Story this weekend we're recording. And the BBC, off their archive account, has released a video from Christmas 1996 in England of the shortage of Toy Story merchandise.
I remember.
I was just sat there. I was like, wow, like they could have jingled all the way a Disney version, but they missed the opportunity.
I definitely never had a Woody or a Jessie or anything. So I can't have been that big a Pixar fan because I don't think I had any. I had none of the merch.
I think this was the film that really sold me on Pixar. I remember not being massively fussed on Toy Story as well, and I don't think I saw Bug's Life until a few years later. I think this was the moment I was like, oh, okay, I get it. This is kind of cool. I like what this studio is doing.
Excellent. I mean, we'll use that. Let's talk about, before I do the synopsis, let's talk about our memories of Monsters, Inc. So I'll jump in first, because I kind of said before we went live, and I'm really curious about both of you. I am a very late Monsters, Inc., not newcomer as such, but I have scattered memories of my childhood with this film. I don't know if you guys will remember this. Monsters, Inc. cereal in the UK.
Really?
I don't know if it was like Golden Grahams or Cinnamon Grahams or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
I had these distinct memories. There were 3 cereal boxes. The entire box was the face of Mike or Boo or Sully. And on the back of the cardboard boxes, back in the good old days of cereal, you could cut out a door hanger, and it'd be like shush monsters, like in the room. So I have memories of the cereal. I remember this being a thing at primary school because I would have been, I think, in reception or year 1 when this came out. And I had a friend with a PS1 game that I have the most short memory with. And I had a pinball game on the PC because we didn't have a PS2, we had a PC. An original PC Master Race before that was a thing, apparently. But I didn't see this film until Monsters University came out. I don't know why. We didn't have it on VHS. We had Toy Story 1, 2, Bugs Life. DVD, we had sort of Nemo onwards. Monsters, Inc. was just, I'd never seen it. Yeah, I remembered the cereal, and I remember the game. So I was very surprised at how old I was when I saw it for the first time. And I really enjoyed it, but I hadn't gone back to it until this weekend for the series, which has been quite a cathartic experience. But we'll be able to dive into that. Neil, I'm curious about yours as well.
So I'm pretty sure I saw this at the cinema, and I think I took my nephew to see it because he would have been 4, 5-ish at the time. I'm now really scared about the fact that you were so young when it came out because I was 16 when this came out. So I was just like GCSE, end of GCSEs going into college. And I'm sure that we had loads of toys for my nephew, and I just remember me kind of experiencing it through him, which was just awesome. Like seeing the pure joy of a kid that was barely older than Boo in the film, like seeing this and just being like, "Whoa, this is what's at the cinema," and getting it being like one of his first big cinema experiences. I also remember how much of a big deal it was, and I know this will be something that we talk about with this film quite a lot. The fur. I just remember how much talk there was about the fur and developing the fur and how Sully was going to look and how nothing had been done like this before and how difficult it was and how many millions of strands of hair were on him. I can remember that being such a big deal for people and how much people were talking about it at the time.
Okay, so this is 2001.
Yeah.
I definitely saw this at the cinema. I was really into The Matrix in 2001.
That's the thing, yeah. We were probably all wearing like the long leather jackets and the sunglasses and thinking we were really cool.
Yeah,
And then this came
it was
out.
2001 was like The Matrix and the first Pirates of the Caribbean came out 2001, didn't
Yeah.
it? Or was that
Yeah.
a bit later? And Lord of the Rings.
Lord
It
of the
was
Rings
Lord
was
of the Rings,
definitely
yeah.
out.
Okay, maybe I was deep in my Lord of the Rings. So I was like 11 at this time that the movie came out. But I definitely remember seeing it. And what's my overarching memory of Monsters Inc? I've just always had a crush on Randall. That's my thing with Monsters Inc.
I love that.
I think from day one, for this time I saw it at the cinema, I was like, I like that lizard. Right? He's like slinky.
Yeah,
And he's the voice of Steve Buscemi, and
exactly.
he's kind of charismatic. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know. And then I loved Monsters University because we got to learn more about Randall. And I was like, oh my God, Randall has a really sympathetic backstory. I think I love Randall. So that's my contribution to this podcast. Thank you for having me on. Goodbye.
I can't believe it took so long to do University, because I remember seeing this and thinking, like, because obviously Toy Story 2 was already a thing, like, I can't wait to see what they do next. Because I feel like when you leave this film, it's like, oh, this really sets up something that could happen next. And then we waited so long.
I mean, I didn't have to wait, but it is
You
interesting
did,
they
yeah,
went. Yeah. I like that. I mean, for a chat for later on in the series, I like that they did the prequel, and I don't think a lot of people like that. And without jumping too far in, I love the ending of this film.
Yeah.
Paul, very good friend of the channel, appeared on Bugs Life Toy Story 2. He had his own pitch for the sequel of what he wished they could have done. Now, I don't know if this was Paul pitching a sequel or if this was maybe discussions, but his concept was actually the original concept for this film, which we'll talk about shortly, because there's a lot of things I'd never took into account with Monsters Inc. and the production cycle of a kids' film being about monsters scaring children, which is actually, I think, an incredible concept that is really taken for granted. Maybe because this is so early within Pixar as a studio, and obviously they've had so many incredible films since. Incredibles not intended, the franchise Incredibles, but just the quality of the filmmaking. I'm going to very rudely jump in and show a picture on my phone. These are the cereals, and I've just had a whole wave of nostalgia.
Good old Nestle.
I mean, they didn't cover Mike's eye. And if anyone wants some behind the scenes, I was trying to get a poster where I could cover Mike's eyeball with our thumbnail, but I just couldn't. And I was like, I want the theatrical poster. I'm sorry, I'm not going to.
That would have been funny.
It's a great joke. And there's so many wonderful jokes in this film. And I guess if we start talking about Monsters Inc. as well, the IMDb plot synopsis for anybody who hasn't seen this film, I do recommend you watch it before this. And I'm going to add, we're 4 episodes into the series, I feel really strange talking about synopsis for Pixar films, because when they're films from like your childhood or from decades ago that no one's ever read a synopsis for, it's very weird to see it summarized.
Yes.
But for this one, it is. In order to power the city, monsters have to scare children so that they scream. However, the children are toxic to the monsters, and after a child gets through, 2 monsters realize things may not be what they think.
Wow.
Name on the tin. IMDb got us there. See, I wanted to use letterbox ones, but they actually put essays on their synopsises.
Yeah, they do.
And they're very detailed, but I don't have the time, if I'm being very polite to letterbox. I will criticize them for nothing else. But let's talk some behind the scenes. So I don't know if you both are aware of this, and this is something that's blown my mind that I found out when we did A Bug's Life. Let's talk about lunchtime. So in 1994, the Pixar had a lunch, the lunch of lunches you could call it, and not food, but what they ended up doing. Somehow, somewhere, John Lasseter and the team, they had a lunch, a productive lunch, where they were talking about concepts and what they'd like to do. In this one lunch, they came up with the concept of A Bug's Life, Monsters Inc., Up or Ratatouille, and I've just read I didn't write it in the schedule which one of those two, and Finding Nemo. Almost not the first 10 years as such, but a very the early days of the studio. Lunchtime in 1994, and I'm sat there like, wow, I've never been that productive on my lunch break. Like, I wonder what could happen if they got together on lunch break now, what ideas they could come up with. And maybe we'll discuss that, but it's quite incredible that far back, and that's predating Toy Story's release as well. That's whilst they're working on it. that's where the concept of Monsters Inc. came, and the
How
takeaway.
detailed were the? I'm kind of curious. Was it like
Well,
I would love to know that.
rat is chef? They're like, oh my god, genius, write it down.
Yeah.
Fish is lost. Oh my god, we're cooking with gas here.
I
Bugs
think
are alive. Oh my god, call Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
But this is it, and I think from what I've been able to read, I mean, that should really be a podcast. They probably decided after to record people's lunches without that turning into a Watergate scandal. But the technical limitations of animating in '94, the new technology, and where I've kind of put two and two together without trying to come across as arrogant, the very lack of humans in the stories at hand.
Yeah.
We're talking bugs, monsters, fish, toys, and a rat. Oh no, sorry, ignore me. It was Wally, not Ratatouille. Why? Because of course it was the robots. And
robot has feelings. Oh my god.
This is it for the next 10 years. What to do after? It's like the end of Finding Nemo. Now what? Sequels.
Yeah, we've actually just run out of ideas now. So
they've basically been going back to that lunch. Yeah,
robots have feelings, and no, we don't have anything else. I'm so sorry.
Oh,
do you want Radish Chef? Radish Chef. Let's do Radish Chef.
Oh, what if cars had a conscience and eyes? That's the one they didn't think of then, but they kept coming back to.
That one, to be fair, is the most. That one blows my mind to think about.
What, like the logistics of the world?
Yeah, if someone told me that over lunch, be like, "What do you mean cars are alive?"
Yeah,
like Christine, but for kids. Yeah, I should work for Pixar.
But it's fascinating, and I think it is the limitations of the technology. And I know for this one, it was Pete Docter's concept where he basically went with the approach that, well, we were all scared of monsters when we were kids in our beds, and that scares children, and there's a concept to do there, which I do find interesting. So what I would find out is the original concept for this film, and this would be a completely different in film, and I love finding out different stories. This was going to be about a 30-year-old dealing with monsters he drew as a child coming to haunt him in his dreams. That is terrifying.
Definitely not a kids' movie. That's like dealing with past trauma.
That's a drama. That's a festival circuit film. Like it's like what was that Doctor episode? I'm going all the way back to David Tennant era because we were talking about it earlier. Do you remember when the little girl would draw things and they'd come true?
The Olympics episode.
There we go.
Season 2.
That's the original concept. It's quite. I don't want to be rude and make accusations, but was he having nightmares in his 30s about monsters potentially? That's the question I sort of came from it with.
I mean, you know what kids love? 30-year-olds with
exactly
neuroses.
Because if you're all sitting around the lunch table and you've just said, "What if toys are alive?" and because I feel like everyone as kids imagines what it would be like if your toys were actually like alive. I feel like that's quite a straightforward thing. That you then jump to, well, all kids are afraid of the monster under the bed or the monster in the wardrobe. Not all kids think that 30-year-olds have neuroses that take the form of monsters.
All kids worry about the man that they will become, and if their past ghosts will haunt them well into adulthood if they do not go to therapy. To be fair, I think I did worry about that. So
I feel like I may have been like that as well.
Yeah, but I was watching like Pan's Labyrinth at the age I should have been watching Monsters Inc. So
not to be that I didn't really have the monsters in my childhood. I don't know if it's an age thing. I had the Toy Story visions a lot, like, could this Star Wars figure be real? And I'd just stare at it. And do you ever do? You'd go out the room and come back in because that's post Toy Story. So yeah, like, did anything change? Would I be the Sid? No, I didn't blow up toys, but would I have gone that approach? I do not know. But I just found it fascinating for this film that was Pete Docter's concept, and eventually that would then turn into the story getting fleshed out. They'd do a buddy duo story. I'm using the word duo as a weird thing. So doing the schedule, I don't want to jump ahead to looking at Pixar too much, but you've got Toy Story, Woody and Buzz.
Yeah.
You've got A Bug's Life, which is Flick isn't really part of a duo. There's a romance angle, but it's not. You know, you've got the PT Flea Circus, and I was sat there like, actually, the buddy duo that was in Monsters Inc. That was kind of going. I'd say it goes in Nemo because you've got Dory tagging on the adventure. Cars, you've got Mater. Ratatouille, you've got the rat and the chef. And obviously, The Incredibles is more of a family. And I sort of sat there like, is that the Pixar formula that no one's really spoke about? That
Wally
maybe,
as well. Wally and Eva.
Yeah, absolutely, another one.
There is quite a strong. There is normally kind of a duo there, yeah.
And they're not robbing Toy Story. It's not the same to here's one narcissistic toy and here's the other one. It's let's bring in two different personas that work so well with one another. And it really caught me off guard thinking about it. I was like, because that did work. And with A Bug's Life, whilst I'm in the crowd that yearned for a sequel, yes, we got the outtakes in Toy Story 2, but it was just Flick. And I was like, I hope that wasn't any excuse. Like, could Flick have buddied up with another insect, maybe, if they'd have done it in a different time? And even the most recent film, Elio, which I really did enjoy, that's a buddy film because you've got Elio, you've got the alien son as well. And I just sort of sat there thinking, like, actually, this has become a huge thing for Pixar. And I don't know if that's ever been spoken about, but at least, Neil, you've kind of pointed out. Clarisse, would you somewhat agree? Do you feel like it's a concept that they end up using a lot?
I think that's true of a lot of kids animation because it's sort of, if you think about the concepts that kind of the relationships that kids are having in their life, right? You either have a child parent, which I would say Finding Nemo for me is a child parent story primarily. And then like there's a few in Pixar. But then you have the relationship they have with their parents and then the relationship they have with their friends. And so I guess if you look outside of, well, there's like Shrek and Donkey. Iconic buddy duo. Like a lot of the DreamWorks are sort of odd couple friendships as well. Kung Fu Panda, he's got a little friend, doesn't he? I'm forgetting all other animated movies now.
Mario and Luigi, bit of brotherly.
Mario and Luigi. Yeah, because it's often like so much of the drama for kids, right? Because kids movies have to have a certain like binary, like a moral or emotional binary to them. So I think it's really like easy and tempting for if someone's writing a kids movie to do, well, let me take two extremes of something and smash them together and see how that goes. I feel like a lot of like the cartoons the like television I used to watch was always like was it two stupid dogs?
Yeah.
Did you guys watch that? Or Two Angry Beavers? It was always two of something and they had opposite cat dog and they always have opposite personalities because you can just create like sort of infinite conflict without actually having to impose something scary. So I think I guess because Disney's different because they've had the fairy tale formula where you've got a really long history to pull from. I think a lot of the like modern kids movies, I would say, either fall into the category of it's about friendship or it's about the parent relationship or the family relationship. Like Croods. I don't know why I thought of Croods. I love Croods.
I've never seen it. I'm sorry. I've never seen it. I've heard of it.
Nicolas Cage as and he's trying to keep the Stone Age family together. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I feel like I recognise the poster and the font. That sounds so strange to say in a video. Is it like 2013 time? Like, is it like in the 10s? Or is it further back?
I think that sounds right. And then they had a sequel that came out.
It could be that.
At some point in the last 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
I believe.
That's interesting. I never thought about it with other kids' animated, but you're absolutely right. It does work in that structure. The whole, not whole genre, but certainly the targeted audiences.
It's the purity of relationships and just teaching them that and being a little bit more, like you said, binary is the perfect way to say it. It's that kind of good versus evil, but there is still a little bit of a grey area in the purity of relationships and family matters and friendships matter and that, everyone should love each other regardless of who they are, where they come from. It's that pure message that just teaches you to be a good human being.
Yeah. That's nail on the head. I feel like I've shown the video. I'm sorry, Neil. You speak far better than I can on these matters. I do want to talk about something else because that's a beautiful segue into reshaping this film. So, what it would become, the film we know, the film we're going to talk about. Pixar's biggest task was to shape it into a story about monsters scaring children, but would also accommodate a family audience aimed at children in particular. Now, the fact I didn't see his size in my teens rules me out of at least giving a direct, this is how I felt as a child. But what I can say, without having obviously seen it I was older, it was a constant part of the childhoods, right? You knew of it as a film, you knew of the characters, whether it be the serial, whether it be the game, and monsters should be terrifying, and that in turn goes with the designs, the storytelling. Going from the 30-year-olds having nightmares to let's bring in a toddler for all intents purposes. And I don't mind saying this on this video, I have a niece on the way at the end of March next year, so I'm developing paternity feelings that I've never had before, which is really nice, but also I'm a bit more aware when I'm watching stuff at the moment. Like, even like, this sounds way off attention. Even when I'm like at swimming and stuff, and if the kids' pool's open, I'm sort of watching some of the parents. Like, how are they? And I've never ever once in my life like not focused on what I'm doing, but I'm like, what am I going to do if I take her out for a weekend? You know, those sorts of things. So I think Pixar's a really fun little side thing that's just happened. I planned this series back in April, May this year, and the baby's due in March. So it didn't, he's going to be an uncle, go do a Pixar series. Put a newborn into a YouTube channel, like, go. I'm joking.
Well, I would like to advocate that you start her really early on Tim Burton, which is where I started, and shaped a lot of my personality as a young person. And, you know, read Edgar Allan Poe.
I've explicitly been told
start
no
with
Star
Gothic
Wars
stuff really early. It's great for later personality development.
Yeah. It definitely will not cause any problems.
Yeah. And the Guillermo del Toro, the Pan's Labyrinth, like you say, Clarisse, definitely, yeah. Just start all of those really, really early, like Gothic fairy tales.
I know of someone that created a letterbox for their newborn baby, and when they started watching films with the baby, they were logging, and I was like, that's the cutest thing I've seen. And at the same time, if that toddler starts A, watching films like you when it's a child, or B, it doesn't get interested in film, then that genius experiment has not gone the way they envisioned. But I think that's very cute. But I do want to be there. Sorry, going sideways. Like the first cinema trip, I will ask, like, can I come along? Like, yeah, Cineworld Unlimited card, if that's still a thing in 4 or 5 years' time, who knows?
I remember thinking when I first saw this film that Boo was really young to have been abandoned in this other universe with these monsters. And I know it didn't happen on purpose, but I don't know that when I kind of became cognizant of the fact that she was only 3, I remember thinking she was maybe like 4 or 5. But it's a very young age to have this child without its parents stuck with these monsters in this alternate world. Which is quite, I would love to know how they came to the decision of her being that young and not maybe just a tiny little bit older to maybe be a bit more conversational and observant of the world around her.
I think it kind of works. I imagine their thinking was because
what I think is on them, isn't she? Because of
right,
it.
Yeah, and what I think is so clever about Monsters Inc. is the simplicity of like everything's just flipped. Like being a monster is normality in that world, and so I think to have a little kid who cannot speak the same language as the monsters immediately makes her the monster, right? Because she's coming out like can't what? And I think the difficulty of communicating with her is sort of like the equivalent of if we were having, you know, a movie set in our world and a monster coming through. Yeah. You know, the Babadook's not like, "Hi, I'm the Babadook. I've come to haunt you." Like part of the scariness, right, is you don't know the motivation immediately. So when Boo first arrives, that's why they're so terrified of her, because they think that she's come to kill them. And I think if she were older, it'd be too easy to kind of communicate.
Yeah, to be able to communicate it a bit more, like, "Oh, I'm lost. Help me get home."
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Child. I will not eat you.
I think I read they aged her down a little bit, so maybe they did go with that at some point, and then thought if we can make her a toddler, maybe not can't speak, but limited vocabulary.
Yeah.
Was
I think
she
it
30 years
works.
old at one point?
Like, oh no, let's get them down to 21. It's just kept decreasing and decreasing. Like, okay, we can't do a newborn, but we can do the 3-year-old.
Yeah, the 30-year-old's just coming in and like trauma dumping. This isn't fun. Age her down.
I mean, that would be the great sequel, right? I mean, that's what Paul spoke about. I don't mind saying it now. We spoke about that concept. Paul said he would love a Monsters Inc. sequel where it is Boo as an adult who's maybe got memories of the monsters, like doing book stories. And I was like, there's a decent pitch in there. And then he said, oh, well, they did Monsters Uni instead. But I will get to the ending. I like the ending. And
it is going to say that she comes back to her and she's like, well, now I live in an age where, I don't have enough money to put the heating on. And,
oh, don't. That would be me. It'd be like, what happened to this? Like the innocence of youth. And it's like she got a 9 to 5. She sat through these historic events and is currently doing this. You'd be like, oh no. Get back to the monsters world where you can just laugh your problems away.
Yeah. But I've got like, I went through like 15 years of therapy because I was seeing monsters at the age of 3.
Like I befriended them. They kept visiting me in my room, even after the big event.
Yeah, it took me 15 years for me to stop thinking that the monsters were real, and now they're real again. 15 more years of therapy. Thank you, Sully.
And then surely there may be like 2 people somewhere that said, hey, when you were a kid, did you see this monster doing stand-up to make you laugh? Like, surely someone somewhere said, did you ever see a monster doing stand-up? Or am I just going like, what, like mad?
No, it'd be the opposite of a nightmare. Like, what's the logic? You woke up, got excited, laughed, and then you go back to sleep. Like your parents were in the room. Like, why are you laughing so much?
It'd just be like a sleep paralysis demon, but it's like what's
funny
the deal?
and welcoming.
What's the deal with closets? You'd be like, he's at it again.
Do you think they had the same stand-up person coming back or different ones? I know that's a completely different concept, but
they need to have new material because they're not coming in. Mike Wazowski's not coming into my house every night with the same gag.
No,
I'm not laughing more than once. I'm sorry, Billy Crystal, but so maybe they do their own thing.
That's like the beauty of it as well, because you can think about it now as an adult and think, well, yeah, does that really hold up? Could you keep coming back and making kids laugh? No, because do you have that much material? But it's just so beautiful that when you watch it, that you don't think about that because you're too wrapped up in it, that it's just a nice, wholesome, wonderful ending to this film, which is what I love about Pixar, that you can kind of look past all of that while you're watching it. And if you want, you can deconstruct it later and figure out all the bits that maybe don't hold logic, but it just doesn't matter when you watch it.
Yeah, like no logic, talking cars, humans world. What's the common recurrence? How do they get petrol? I can't remember.
No, my thing is how you get to like car IRA. Oh my god, I can't even speak. If you follow logic, there's like car pope. So there's like, oh my god, there's like the entire history of the Catholic Church.
Oh god, yeah.
Probably car English Empire.
Oh, yeah.
The car colonization of Ireland. It keeps going. Car Irish republicanism.
And then
I don't like thinking about it.
No.
Because certain cars come from certain regions as well. So how did the Land Rover emerge from wherever the JLR came from? I know that's just 5 minutes from me, but that's opened a different. That's a different conversation. That's quite terrifying, actually.
They really should not have put car pope, because that really opened a Pandora's box of terrible implications about.
And they made Michael Schumacher canon, which also then doesn't make any sense either.
Like he's a car? I don't remember that.
Yeah.
He pops up at the end of the first Cars film in 2006. Then Hamilton's in Cars 2. This is my expert Cars knowledge. Is just who actually
as a car or as a person.
He's a car. Like he comes as a car.
Okay.
But he's himself as a car. So it's Michael Schumacher the car.
Well, yeah, because this is my understanding. Sorry, this is about Cars now. My understanding of the Cars universe is that there are no people. This is everyone died or never existed to begin with, and it's like if you guys
the everyone died version.
I think Titan is actually a prequel to Cars. that people started giving birth to cars, and I'm sorry, I'm going to spoil the end of Titan. Close
Okay.
your ears if you haven't seen the French movie Titan. She gives birth to a car at the end. And I'm like, it's Lightning McQueen. This is how it started.
This is how it starts.
Right? And then the people eventually die out because they get superseded by the cars.
It was
But the cars repeat all of human world history. It's actually dystopian and a nightmare.
Wow.
But we get Carl-Michael Schumacher, I guess. Does he cheat in the Cars world as well?
Oh, they're the questions I have. I cannot wait to revisit that one. I've got a lot of thoughts on Ferrari at the moment. Different conversation. That I could end up just vexing and shouting like a madman. And Neil's like, "What
Reel it
is
back in.
going on?"
Reel it back in.
Sorry.
I mean, no, it's absolutely fine. I was trying to make a monsters pun with Schumacher, but you sort of can't. But let's talk.
Okay, actually, if you want to stay on that point for a second, okay. I also remember thinking when I was younger, not that I was that young when this whole universe started, but I remember thinking that all of these films were supposed to be in the same world as well. So,
the Pixar theory, did you all see that post in like 2012-13 where someone had like the thesis of thesis, and do you guys remember Coney 2012? Was that like the child soldier war criminal? It was this huge social media thing where everyone was like Coney 2012, really showing my age. The Pixar theory felt like it was something from that era that no one ever spoke about it after it went viral. And as more and more and more films have released, I've sat there like, should I research that person? Did they like continue to theorize? Because it was something like A Bug's Life is in the same world as Cars, where the humans have been like wiped out and are no more. And they like tangibly, I think WALL-E was involved with the humans in space. I can't remember, but it was the most incredible theory that tied everything ever together. And then I don't think anyone spoke about it for 10, 15 years. Maybe they undid it with something really obvious I'm missing. I don't know.
How does the rat fit in? The chef rat.
It would have been written somewhere. I mean, it could have been like not like a plague, but what was like Planet of the Apes at the end of Rise when they did the airport. Maybe like there was a Ratatouille moment where that just would have been a catalyst for something we don't know about. That the one rat that can cook resulted in the human race dying out potentially.
I just imagined it took place in our world, and he's just like a one-off. I think it's plausible a rat could cook.
Definitely,
rats are very smart.
I don't disagree. It might be limited on the options, but I'm sure they could figure it out. You get the right name.
Yeah, a rat can just go like this with someone's hair.
I'm sure a YouTuber tried it. I can't remember. I'm sure I saw a YouTuber with a rat in their head for real, like legitimately.
That's cute.
If it worked out well, it would have been, I guess. I've got no idea. I really need to research that. I'm trying to think which YouTuber it was. This is maybe a year or two ago. That's going to annoy me. Let's go back to Monster Inc. Sorry, I'm going to end up just going on tangents. I'm very good at doing that. I want to talk a little bit about the animation style on this. So we're 4 films into the studio, and when we spoke about A Bug's Life and Toy Story 2, we sort of noticed not the quality increases, because that's such a ridiculous way of saying it, but a new era of animation is developing, obviously, at a rapidly increasing rate as we're getting more and more, not computers in the world, but as just technology develops, so does the animation. Neil, you mentioned earlier, the huge talking point of this film was the animation of the fur, which I believe on Sully is 2.2 million strands of fur on him. And it's really fascinating because it's impossible to know and appreciate that as a child, which the core of this film is at. But as far as innovation goes, this is obviously something that became a huge part of filmmaking, and what I am not sure about, which I probably should have researched, I'd have been very curious to know if the likes of Weta or ILM would use some of the technology developed for this, or if this technology was explicit to Pixar only for their animation. But when you look at all the characters in this film, I think there are 2 characters with fur. You've got Sully, and is he called George, the one that gets shaved off that keeps getting the and they're the only 2 with fur, and obviously one of them loses his fur sort of halfway in. And I just thought it was interesting because the opening scene of them doing the montage in the flat, that's when you see it the most, that you can appreciate the strands like an obstacle course, like they're glistening in the wind. When he's dangling upside down, you can see them all sort of bending backwards. And for the context of this video, this series, I was sat thinking, for 2001, that is remarkable that there were 2.2 million strands. I mean, I think I read for Toy Story 2, they had 3 million dust particles for the shelf scene with Wheezy. So the animation on this, it was redefining, and the technology they developed was called Fists, which would allow them to put it on an obstacle course to get the physics to work. Sometimes hair would get stuck to certain objects, and then they
Interesting.
couldn't move forward. So they've done an incredible job with it, and I think looking at it in 2025, this film still looks phenomenal. The animation is still phenomenal, and it's kind of weird looking at the origins of a studio that one of the criticisms, and I've said this every episode so far, is people have spoke about how Toy Story is dated and how the older Pixar films don't hold up, and I'm sat there, I don't want to sound like old man yelling at clouds, and I'm not doing some superficial hierarchy because I'm watching it on a Blu-ray. These look as good as anything being animated and released today. Like, it is not dated as you'd look at some CGI in the context of that new technology that gets developed. This film looks incredible still, and the animation does too.
Yeah, I feel like across the board in terms of effects, for me, I mean, I do feel like Toy Story looks different to me. It does look older.
Yeah.
Which is not to say it looks bad. I think there's a noticeable difference. But I think in all, and this is live action sort of computer animation in live action, I think everything sort of reaches its peak in the early 2000s, because yeah, but also looking at what's happening with Lord of the Rings movies, where the
Yeah.
first Avatar was 2004, 2008. When was that?
Oh nine,
Forgot when
I watched
Avatar
it
came out.
yesterday, 2009.
Oh, 2009, sorry. So it's a little bit later, but I think this sort of 2000 to 2010 period is like the height, and then everything starts degrading because the studio stop spending money to actually make it look good. So I think in a lot of stuff from this period actually looks better than the movies we get now. I mean, not in every case, but I think in general, like I think stuff like this and the live action stuff has held up so well and better sometimes, and it's a bit depressing to think about.
I agree. I think you sort of nailed on the head. To me, it's not the artists that are the problem; it's the studios.
No.
It's
totally.
people seen articles about CGI artists don't have a union, and that's what they're trying to introduce, which would be great. Marvel's become the punch bag, and if I'm allowed to say so, I don't mind Marvel's become the punch bag, because Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania cost $300 million to make, and everyone, as a generic criticism, will put up a picture of David Jones and be like, how's it got worse? And I'm sat there like, as you said, Chris, to me that's the peak. Like, I love motion capture, I'm a huge fan of the technology, and I think there's, oh god, I don't do a Matt Rushmore of CGI characters, but to me you've got like Jar Jar Binks for being the first fully done one. You've got Gollum, where the performance came in, and then I've got like Davy Jones and Caesar as like the peak of that technology, what you can do with it. James Cameron's Avatar is just another level of. I rewatched the first one yesterday, and it still holds up. Okay, I'm watching it on 4K, and it's James Cameron, but I feel the industry, the film industry, not just animation, we seem to have lost innovators over the last few decades. That George Lucas, and love him, damn, I can't wait to go to that museum, and that's what he's wanted to do since selling Star Wars, and he's so right to have done that, because he looks like he's innovating the museums, let alone films now. You've got James Cameron, who, disappears to New Zealand and develop underwater motion capture technology, which is kind of crazy to say out loud still. And I know that Avatar 3 is out this week, which I really hope is good, because I have a soft spot for the Avatar films. And then you do have films where, let's do reshoots, or let's change this in post, and it feels noticeable. And I do feel Pixar has gone down this route. I know that Elio, not just recency, there's a lot of stories about the behind the scenes, the changing of story, voice actors, Disney overarching, choosing what to cut. I feel it's a bit of a worry, and that they're only looking at the numericals of what can we do, what can we not. And in an era with this early Pixar, where every film feels like an innovative concept that has been mastered first time round, and then they're just building off of it as the years go by, it does feel that things are a little bit stale. And I think the 2000s are a bit of a peak, if I'm honest, with the development. And if you look at like 2000s, even within like, let's say Spider-Man 1 to Spider-Man 3, the CGI from 1 to 3 is drastically different. But it feels like, if I was to say so, no Spider-Man film has looked better that's come out since, and there's been a lot of Spider-Man films since 2007 too.
It's funny you say that. I went to see No Way Home the other day. They had the world premiere of it with an orchestra at the Royal Albert Hall, and it was the first time I'd seen it on the big screen since when it was out. And I don't know if it's because I was so caught up in the 3 Spider-Men of it all at the time, but I don't remember ever seeing it at the cinema the first time round thinking some of it looked really ropey. But you look at the Statue of Liberty now, and I just thought I feel like I'm watching a PlayStation 2 game, and it actually doesn't hold up as anywhere, like being able to look at it objectively, it doesn't hold up anywhere near as well as I remembered it. I was just reading about how many processors were used in the render farm for Monsters Inc. Because, there's an exciting fact. They used only 200 on Toy Story, they used 1,400 on Toy Story 2, and 3,500 on Monsters Inc. So the amount of rendering power used to get this film ready is massive in comparison to what they were doing only just a few years before.
I think that's a great point. And I think as well, with the limitations, something I've spoken about in each episode so far, and I feel like this is a running point through to The Incredibles. Boo is the biggest jump. Boo and Al are the two almost first proper animated human characters. And that sounds strange because we get Andy and his mom, of course, in Toy Story 2, but we're seeing now, here is a 3-dimensional human animated. Okay, it's a toddler in this one. Al supporting character in the last film, a couple of scenes here and there. They're developing that technology where they're starting to, I don't want to say get to the human likeness, because Pixar has a very not dystopian, a very unique approach to how humans look within Pixar's worlds.
Yeah.
And I think Incredibles is where they kind of nail it, like, right, this is it, and this is how we know we can do it, because we can do it for this film with 4 of them, plus other supporting characters. Whereas I think Boo looks remarkable in this. And again, it's that infancy of that technology. And okay, they put her in a monster suit and cover her up at a lot of times, or her hair's up in parts as well. I think it looks great. And I feel that they're making the technical jumps to keep pushing whilst having the forefront. This is a world about monsters, so it doesn't need to look like a world We can have different textures, different designs. The main character is this, not horrific, but Sully is the 2 million, 2 million animated strands of hair. Mike Wazowski, it's a giant green eye. And it's fantastic for that. What do you think of the human side of things before we talk about a bit more of the story and the characters?
I think they were very clever in the simplicity of their idea of, we don't think we can do this very well yet, so let's do the things that look more fantastical, that people aren't going to look at and criticize and say, well, that doesn't look right. Let's do the more fantastical stuff, and let's show other things that we can be more cartoony, more fun, take more artistic license with, while we refine the technology to be able to do a human character that actually feels somewhat believable, if that's what they are supposed to be. So I agree with everything that you just said. I think Boo is a massive step forwards for them, and then greatly hidden inside a costume for half the film, so that they don't have to worry about it too much.
Clarisse, anything on that?
Yeah, I agree. And I think a toddler would be a lot easier to animate, because I think a lot of the issue with human animation, right, is bone structure and limbs, and making everything like actually smooth. And they got stubby little arms and legs, and she's just kind of waddling around. So I feel like the actual like build structure for Boo I imagine was a lot more straightforward than when you actually get all the way to the Incredibles.
It's a very good point.
And there's like stretching people in that, so that's really complicated rigs for those skeletons. Boo's just like a little block that goes beep, 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 beep. But she's so cute though. We love her.
Definitely. And I think that's kind of a great way to talk about the story too. So we've spoke about the plot a bit, but I just wanted to sort of hand over to yourselves. Is there anything, we spoke about the simplicity of the animation, the story, the concept of the world of the monsters and it being flipped from our world. Is there anything that maybe doesn't work for you with the story, or something that works in particular we've not spoken about? Because for me, I don't like using words like flawless in videos, but Pixar's quite something that the first 11 films, if you look at them as a studio, are probably one of the strongest runs I've ever seen a studio do, especially at not only the inception of them, but the scale of those films and what they'd have as respectively their legacies. But I don't have any issues in a sort of nice way with before we talk about the characters. That I think it works for children, and I think as an adult watching it, it's also really satisfying that it takes you back to how does their world function. And there's a lot of jokes that you can, I want to say, I not necessarily appreciate a bit more, but when you've begun to work as we get older, and you notice it's a bit like the Office discussion, where if you watch the Office, everyone's worked with somebody from that show. You all know someone from that, or one of them. And I think Monsters Inc. does the very fun idea of kind of that we've all worked in a job before, and this is how their world functions. And before we get into specific characters, because I've got so much to say on Randall, something that completely changed my mind on him yesterday. But anything from yourselves before we dive into a couple of those characters?
I think this is not this is not a genuine complaint. I think the one thing I've always wondered that doesn't quite make sense with Monsters Inc. is that Monsters Inc., the company, is supplying the power to the city, but they're getting the whole kind of the conflict of the movie is that because children are becoming more cynical, they are getting less energy and providing less energy to the city. But the Wardenus, the boss, at one point is talking about how he's not going to let this business fall under. And it's like, I don't really understand why that would happen, because you have a monopoly. You're the only power company that seems to exist. So I always found that like he's so desperate to save the company, right? And that's a really big motivation for that character. And I'm like, but why? Like, you are the one power company. You have a total monopoly. The whatever monster government that's in place in this world would not let the one power company supplying all the, and there's no talk of alternate resources, right?
No.
There's no alternative. No alternative resources. So that doesn't quite.
Yeah.
And this is the right? Children, it's not really a complaint, because a child is not thinking about business monopolies. And it's or is Monsters Inc. Owned? It should be nationalized, surely. If it's the one power company in the entire city, why is it not nationalized anyways? There should be no Wardenus. But I always, as an adult, have always been very confused by his character's motivation of he doesn't want the company to fail, because how would that happen? Possibly, people have no alternative. They can't switch companies, so
there should be a monster competition and markets authority that should be looking into this.
There should be. They should have just needed one scene where we also have monster wind farms.
Yeah.
And they cut to a field, and it's the wind farms, their actual turbines are monsters themselves, and it'd be a funny joke. And then it'd be oh, we can't let we can't let the monster turbines beat us. They're going up in sales. Because presumably both of those are clean energy.
Yeah.
No pollution and screams.
I'm just thinking about an Avatar crossover. You know how James Cameron's so in the second film we're going to the Water Clan, and the third one we're going to the Ash Clan. I'm imagine the Monster Inc. where it's there's different cities with different power.
Yes.
But I like the world of those sorts of things, and it's what as adults that you look at more, especially with news. Yeah, it should be nationalised, and also not to be that guy. No one clocked that you get the same power through the laughter. I know that's the point of the end of the film.
Yeah, how has no
I
one
do.
ever clocked and just switched to the laughter?
Yeah, like I love it because, and also they don't. I know it's not the core. They don't get to explore it too much. Bar Sully being like, "Let's walk to work to save the electricity bills." Like, I know they can't put those sort of politics in a kids' film as blatant as they are, but I'm also still curious as to like, so how does it work? Like, because in Toy Story and Bugs Life, in Bugs Life you get the food chain of how they all function.
Yep.
Toy Story, you get obviously different cities and toy lore, if you can call it that, where they all. Oh my god, I can't say it on air. I've got something to say about Woody's Roundup. I'll tell you both after. Me and Paul had this chat. It's completely potentially ruined Toy Story for me. But with some of these characters, I mean, let's talk about a couple of them. Sully, voiced by John Goodman. Not the first John Goodman project I was aware of, because I had The Borrowers on VHS, which I absolutely loved. Was he? No, wait, he was in The Borrowers. Or was it Mousetrap? No, he's in The Borrowers.
He's definitely.
Have I lost the plot? I might have got my John Goodman mixed up, but anyway, I love him in this. I love the concept of Sully because you're taking the hypothetical. This is the scariest monster there is. He's top of the charts. He's the best employee. He scares the most children, and he is the soft-spoken, cuddly against type character that there could be. He's the one that's curious by Boo, that he wants to rescue her. I don't want to get too in depth with him, as in the things we're not told, but he reminds me of somebody that kind of wished he had a family that doesn't seem to have one, and like Boo could or would have been his daughter in another way, without that sounding a bit too intense for Sully. But I love him in this, and there's something about the pairing of them, and I know that they actually recorded a couple of scenes in the studio together rather than separately, which is very rare for animated films.
Very.
It feels so real, and maybe it's because they're recording together, maybe it's the script, maybe there's some improv that I don't know about, but certainly Sully and Mike as a duo I love, but Sully himself, I think it's the right decision to have him as the lead of this film, that it is the scariest monster possible being the cuddliest, because I think that then immediately ends that logic of how can we make this accessible for families if they're meant to be scary for them.
Yeah, I don't think this was my first John Goodman movie because I looked it up. Because I think I saw Our Brother Where Art Thou like when it came out. Love that movie. So I feel like I don't know if I made the connection though.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god.
That's something I was thinking about when because I rewatched this yesterday, and he was in The Borrowers in 1997, by the way.
Yes. Sorry, I just would.
Oh. Did he just press one too many buttons?
I don't know. It's still recording.
Yeah. We'll just carry on. Oh, he's back.
Sorry, I pressed the wrong button.
You got so excited about The Borrowers that you just went and hit the wrong button there.
I love The Borrowers, I'm not going to lie. That was my, without turning into a different conversation, that's the first thing I ever saw the Draco Malfoy in. He was pea green, he was afraid of milk before Harry Potter for me. He doesn't cling on to that, he clings on to the other role. But love The Borrowers, sorry.
Flintstones as well. Don't forget the live action Flintstones.
Oh yeah, when would I have seen that? I might have seen that.
That was
first,
1994
actually.
that released. I saw that in the cinema, I know that much. Definitely saw that in the cinema.
I must have seen that at some point in the 90s.
Arachnophobia, 1990.
I didn't see that. I did not see that until much later.
So what I was going to say was when I rewatched this yesterday, I realized that there are very few Pixar films where when I'm watching them, I'm thinking about who the actor is until I'm sort of reading the end credits at the end, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'd kind of forgotten. As much as you know it's him, and I know it's him, and I can hear it's him, it's just Sully when I watch it, which I think is always great when you can kind of suspend your disbelief and disappear into it a bit. But I think this film's really brilliantly cast, like perfectly cast.
Yeah, because it's sort of not. there's not that much kind of spiritual difference between John Goodman and Sully and Mike and Billy Crystal. Like if Billy Crystal was a monster, he would be a single eyeball.
Yeah. It's it is. You are spot on. They are just them. That all of the
Yeah.
warmth and the the charisma and everything is just, it's just them, and it just works.
So I don't know if you both know this, that Billy Crystal was offered Buzz Lightyear and declined it, and he called it one of his great regrets. Now, maybe because I'm obviously Toy Story was before I was born, but I couldn't imagine anyone but Tim Allen as Buzz. But I also could not imagine anyone but Billy Crystal as Mike. Like that worked out for the better of everybody, and I know that they contacted him straight away, like, we're doing this new film, we want you, and he just straight away was like, yes, I'm in, I want to do it. And I think it works so much better that he's so perfect for him. And I've not seen that many Billy Crystal films. I've seen a lot more clips of him hosting the Oscars. But it's the chemistry they have together that makes it feel a bit more real, a bit more authentic, and without it turning into that modern day criticism of certain actors or A-listers, maybe actors that take animated roles or voice actors, which is very fairly discussed. When it is done in a way like this, where it feels the actor was cast in that role for the reasons that they are the best performer to do that, it does work in that way. I don't think, oh God, I don't want this to come across as rude, but I don't think a child would care that the name Billy Crystal is on a poster to watch an animated film. And maybe some adults might be like, oh, this actor's been doing that, but historically, children aren't going to care. It needs to be what's going to be best for this character, this monster, and it's absolutely perfect for the pair of them. But I know someone we'll definitely have a good chat about is Randall, voiced by Steve Buscemi. I always loved Randall. I'm just going to jump into this. So the pinball game I had on the PC, Randall was like the main character that you'd go into the main menu and it was Roz. You'd go into the level and it was all to do with Randall. I've got no idea what the game was called. I just knew it was a Monsters Inc. pinball game. I think Steve Buscemi might have voiced him for this game too. But I love the lizard design. I think he works so well as a villainous character. And the thing that completely gobsmacked me yesterday on the rewatch, I know it's not his core character motive, but I was watching it like, wow, the guy's doing voluntary unpaid overtime and not telling anybody about it. And I was sat there like, what led him to this moment? Now, Chris, you've mentioned Monster Gene explains all of that. I've just got no recollection of, bar the slow slug late on his first day, which I think is a top tier joke. So I'm excited to find out more. But I love Steve Buscemi. I think again the voice cast is perfect. I couldn't imagine anyone but him playing this character. And I'm not calling Steve Buscemi a lizard, but he's very well suited to this character, and I don't know why. And I think even like contextually, when he would have signed on in probably, let's say, 99 or 2000, that's still quite a coup for this probable very small role, but is instantly iconic. I don't know.
Yeah, this was not long after Armageddon, right? That was 1999.
Yeah, might just be a couple of years later.
Yeah, when he got space dementia. That's what happens in Armageddon to Steve Buscemi, right? He's like, that's all I remember from that movie is they go up and they're like, he's got space dementia, and I still don't understand what that means.
That's how he became Randall. It's a fascinating
the space dementia guy.
But I think as a villain, and kind of, I didn't know this. I did not know that Frank Oz was in this film either. I think that's a massive coup. Also, brilliant name for a monster fungus. They've recorded their scenes together, particularly the toilet sequence when they're going over the plan of the kid escaping. I just had no idea that Frank Oz was in this film. I remember John Ratzenberger being the abominable snowman, which, by the way, that's so ingenious to go off of. Oh God, I don't know what the right term is for. Everything falls into conspiracy theory for me these days. Loch Ness Monster, the Abominable Snowman. They're not conspiracy theories. They're not mythology. There's a really obvious word that I'm missing.
They're cryptids. is the
Okay.
term. That is,
Excellent.
as a super, well, like folkloric animals that some believe to be true, but are
That's,
probably not, because they scanned Loch Ness and there was nothing down there. I'm so sorry, everyone.
it's
R.I.P.
a great
Loch Ness
story.
Monster.
It's a great story, but I like that Monsters Inc. can do that, and not to tie into the real world, but it's like, that monster we've all heard of that no one knows exists. It's someone that's been kicked out of their world, and he's the sniper. I just think it works wonders, and I think John Ratzenberg has got one of the best voices. I know it's iconic. I know he's Ham and he's in every single Pixar film, but there's something about it that works so well in these. And I know obviously when he's younger, he's got somewhat bigger roles, but the design and ideas for this, even the little ones. I don't know if you know that they spoke to Toho to try and have the rights for Godzilla for this.
Really?
The When they're crossing the road and he looks up and it's the giants.
Yeah.
Well, you don't see it. They asked Toho if they could use Godzilla's roar as an acknowledgement of
Who it was?
them talking to Mike, and Toho
Yeah.
declined it, and
Ah,
that's why they then put the chicken noise in there. Which
Mm.
is quite. I kind of respect Toho for wanting to protect Godzilla
Yeah.
because they're very protective.
He's a very special
Same,
guy.
yeah, and at the same time, I'm like, I guess for the monsters concept, that was the one they would really wanted to go to. And I know it's not a character it's a place. The Harryhausen's as the restaurant is just one of the best possible nods. I love that so much. Again, kids won't get it, and I get that. But if you're a fan of the industry, you know who Harryhausen is. That's such. I think it's the right kind of. I don't want to say reference because that like discredits Harryhausen to being a reference, but without his work, his history, a film like Monster Inc. wouldn't be made, and they might not
yeah.
have the
It's just
memories
a
of seeing
nice nod,
monsters at
isn't
the
it?
cinema. Yeah, it's a nice moment, and it makes for a great location, a great niche thing. But does anyone want to talk about any other characters that I might have missed or not spoken about?
Celia, please. I love her.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
iconic Jennifer Tilly, one of my favorite voices in cinema.
So, and that is another like really like standout voice. Like you hear it and you're like, ah, it's Jennifer Tilly.
Yeah. And I always love the joke when she's like, I can get my hair cut. And the snakes are like, gulp.
Yeah.
Because that's actually really horrific if you think about it.
Yeah.
And then Mike's like, I love it how it is. And like, whew. I think the snakes, they're so fun. I love her character design. I love her little like pet names. I love her vibe. She's an icon. She's a diva. Love Celia.
And
I love
I
it.
will say Roz as well. You have like Roz. I just loved as a when I was younger. I was going to say as a kid, but I was not a kid when this came out. Like the bait and switch with Roz when you realize that actually she's like been watching over the entire situation and she knows everything that's going on. I love that reveal. I mean, it's like so obvious, but at the same time, she's just such a like wonderful character.
I love she's 001, and the increment is like, is she like the head of the entire organization that herself chose to go undercover? Was it 2.5 years? Like, I
Yeah.
love that concept. And I think
Mhm.
with Roz, and this sounds really horrible, and I don't intend for this to sound as bad as it's going to say, I feel like everyone knows a Roz. That maybe you've worked with someone, they're
Oh,
a little bit
definitely.
slower because obviously she's the slug, and she's just doing her job until you get the great twist that she's actually the mastermind of it all. That have you done this today? Have you done that? She's like micromanaging without the micromanagement, and we've all probably worked with one in a nice way.
Always watching.
Oh, it's so great. And
Mhm.
again, it's another iconic design, another iconic creation, character, voice that doesn't feel like it's been repeated in a nice way. That without going on a tangent on modern Pixar, and Paul sort of ran with this, I'll give him credit because absolutely it is. He kind of said once they figured out how to animate humans, they've never really gone back to these
Mm,
completely different concepts. And obviously, we've had stuff like Inside Out Elemental, which I think are two great modern examples, but they're still almost human in a way. Not fully,
yeah,
but a lot of Pixar now is, from bugs to cars to rats to fish to toys. It is now
human stories. with human
human
characters.
story. Yeah, and I don't know if it's an expense thing. I don't know if it's a story concept thing, but it is interesting as how that's going to evolve across doing this across the 29 episodes at present. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of any other character I might not have missed or one to not spoke about. Waternoose, voiced by James Coburn, I think is a great villain twist. The sympathetic, I'm doing this for my dad, it's my family business, my goal is not make them bust. Actually, he's the villain of the film. I love the design. He's terrifying, and he always reminded me of the Acklay from Star Wars 2, which is the blue high pitched screamy thing that Obi-Wan fights. I think it was more the pincers for legs, but I liked him in it. They tried to do that. Oh, he looks terrifying, but he's the cuddly old boss. He's the nicest guy, and actually, he's the villain of it. Working with Randall, I like that.
Yeah.
I love the reveal of him ousting himself in the training room. I think that's a great story twist, and where it ends for his character. Yeah, and also it kind of shows. I don't want to get into a conversation on. Well, it's not small business in this case. If anyone's worked with a nepotism hire within family industries, you get that. Well, here's a new idea. What if you could excrement laughs rather than screams, and they just never listen, even if you tried. We've all probably been there too. So I feel he's a very real character. If I can add that as well.
Yeah, he is. I just remember thinking he just looked terrifying.
It's the eyes.
Yeah.
They wrap around as well, and it's a fantastic. And the chase scene is after. I love that as well. I think it's absolutely great. And so else I'm going to talk about the score. Randy Newman is talking his 4 for 4 with Pixar. One of the great composers. I'm not going to call him underrated because his accolades are beyond doubt. I feel that modern cinema doesn't use his music as such as they used to. Although Marriage Story, I know he did the score for that. Marriage Story had, I thought, an excellent soundtrack. Big fan of that, and I call it the sort of the anti Randy Newman score, where they've got his type of music in absolutely the film that it would never have been, which is why it works so much better. Don't know if that makes sense, if I've said that aloud correctly.
Yeah, well, no one in Monsters Inc. is like, I wish you were dead.
Punches the wall.
Every day I wake up. Yeah. I mean, Adam Driver should be in a Pixar movie.
I just thought he'd probably actually get a great... I can imagine if he did an animated film of any kind, he'd be one of the actors giving it 1,000% in the booth.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
He'd probably enjoy it. A bit like, I know he's not as big a name as Keanu, how Keanu was perfect in Toy Story 4 because this is the stunt toy, so we get one of the two Hollywood stunt guys who everyone knows, the guy that does their own stunts, at the Keanu Renaissance. I don't think it would have worked if it was Tom Cruise, as great as it would have been. I feel like there's something for Adam Driver eventually. They'd find the right character, they need to get him on board ASAP.
Yeah, a depressed bear. I think it would be good for him. Right?
Yeah.
He'd probably do it. I think if there's a twist, he could, if I'm allowed to say so, he's one of my favourite actors. He could do with a hit. He's working with the best of... Coppola's doing a new film, and they want new. Great, I'll be the old Megalopolis. It's the return of Michael Mann. Ferrari. Oh, okay. And it's he's saying yes to these incredible directors, and I don't think he's had the outcomes. And then we've had the shocker of the Hunt for Ben Solo, which he let that out on purpose. My conspiracy is that he's funding those planes flying over Disney. The billboards in New York, and he's a big New Yorker as well. Adam, I know you've worked out.
Did you like Annette? I feel like that was my.
I loved Annette. That Spotify year, so maybe start was I think in my top 3 songs for Motivate, because it's a banger.
It's so good.
I love
it. Baby Annette.
This is it.
Which, for anyone who hasn't seen it, I don't even know how to describe it. It's about, he is the father to a puppet, and the puppet becomes famous. She is Annette, Baby Annette, and Marion Cotillard's in it as well. And it's a musical by Sparks. That's all you need to know. You're sold. You're sat.
Yeah.
You're watching it already. So there we go.
Wouldn't that be a great Pixar film as well?
Yes.
It actually would.
Yes. They should just adapt Annette animation.
I'm sold. Oh yeah, please, Adam Driver, do not. I don't want to get into conversation. Is he doing Heat 2? There's rumours it's Christian Bale and Leo. I don't know if Adam's doing it. He's now doing a Netflix series. Get the man into a Pixar film. Get him a voice
Get him
role.
into a Steven Soderbergh. There's been like 4 made since The Hunt for Ben Solo. He's not been in any of them.
I loved this one, the one from this year. Big fan. The Return of Fastback. We spoke about that last time, didn't we? We're going to detract. Black Bag's excellent.
Let's
Anyone
not start
recommend
talking
that?
about Black Bag.
No.
We'll be here for hours.
No, I'm with you. Let's talk. Someone wants to think. Let's talk the latest film. So, this was nominated for 4 Oscars. Best Animated Feature. This was the first year that the Oscars ran this awards. And Pixar did not win, and neither did Disney. It was won by Shrek, which is totally understandable. If I'm completely honest, I love Monsters Inc., but Shrek. Maybe that's why I didn't see Monsters Inc. when it came out, because I had Shrek on VHS and we watched Shrek at the cinema, and that was like the one that I think everyone saw, and I mean, I guess everyone else saw also Monsters Inc. But yeah, I remember being massive on Shrek when we were younger. Not Shrek 3 onwards, if I'm allowed to say that, but I know there's a 5th one, and it's going to get made. They're in production.
Puss in Boots.
I need to see Puss in Boots. I heard the second one's incredible. That was quite recent, wasn't it, as well?
Good. It's good.
But yeah, it didn't win that. It was nominated for Best Score, Best Song, and Sound Editing. Which is 4 Oscar nominations is very impressive for an animated film, if I'm allowed to say so. And this would win Best Original Song, which was also Pixar's first feature-length film Oscar. I know they'd won a shorts previously, but Best Song, and it's John Goodman singing with
them singing
Crystal. It's the credit song. It's fantastic. I'd never really known that it had its own identity. There's a version with, I think, Randy Newman singing it, but obviously the film went with those two, and they made the right choice with that one.
Definitely.
Yeah, I feel like sound editing, well, looking at what it was animated for, I feel like, maybe I'm just misremembering my Oscar facts. Animation does not really get nominated for sound editing anymore, does it?
No, I don't think it does, really.
No, that sounds
a great question.
So weird to me. I mean, not that it should be, but I feel like this is what's happened with the Oscars. We have a very sort of narrow conception of what is good sound in cinema these days. So it's like, if it wasn't directed by Christopher Nolan, like, forget it.
I always go with when we used to do predictions, we used to do them very early, and it'd be like, is there a war film nominated? Right, there's the sound and sound editing. That will cover them. And it still is narrow-minded. And I do think with animation, in context of 2001, once that animated feature award was officially created, from that point, bar the odd song and soundtrack, they were sort of all just thrown into, well, it got nominated for animated feature and it can cover that. And I know Toy Story would get nominated for Best Film, the third one, and that was a big thing. Up, of course, would win it for score. But it is interesting at how Oscars have detracted down that route.
Not editing, like, you're not seeing, and there's such a limited scope. I feel like, yes, occasionally a really superior animated film will be nominated for Best Picture, but I think people don't have any conception of like what goes into that apart from the animation itself. Which is always interesting to me.
No, definitely, I agree with that. And its box office, it grossed 580 million off a budget of 115 million. So safe to say that it did well financially. And like the other Pixar films, it did sit in the top 10 films of the year. It finished, bear with me one moment, 3rd behind Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone and Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. So that's very impressive. Outgrossed Shrek by 50 million. Which is also interesting. They came out obviously the same year. What is depressing is looking at... I don't bring up every episode the top 10 films nominated that year, but when we spoke about Toy Story 2, 1999 was an incredible year for film. And when we went through that top 10, there were so many original films, original ideas, concepts, plus obviously Star Wars. We move into that, it's starting to be sequels and this and that, but... it's still very impressive. I know that animated films are popular, and I think, again, now with the 2025 lens, the most successful film currently for people that do discuss and look at box office, it is family films, animated films. The highest grossing film of this year, if it's worldwide, you've got the Chinese Nizan 2.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's pronounced that way. But then if you look at the American films, it's Lilo and Stitch with 1 billion plus. That's kind of it for the billions this year. Whether Avatar gets there, I guess
so
we'll
much.
find.
I don't want to talk about Lilo and Stitch movie.
That's very fair. That's the last we'll say of that one on here.
I was just looking at the Pixar timeline, and I can't believe that if you go all the way back to 1995, there's only 6 years that haven't had a Pixar movie. So there was nothing in 96 or 97, and then 2000, 2002, 2005, and then 2014. They're the only years that have not had a Pixar release.
14. Oh, did 14 miss it? Was it Good Dinosaur being delayed by any chance?
Must be, yeah, because it goes Monsters University in 2013, nothing in 14, then in 15 you get Inside Out and The Good Dinosaur.
I think Good Dinosaur might have been delayed. Maybe. That's scanning my mind. It's interesting at a time point when people bring up years and you start to remember what you might have known or what you didn't. But that is interesting. And this is where it kind of is if one to think that if we look at some of our favourite scenes or want to talk about a favourite scene, I kind of want to talk about the ending. So it was the second time I'd seen this yesterday. I cried at the end. I don't mind saying it. And I just didn't remember that they do. I remember that they go into doing comedy and you get the stand-up. I just completely forgot that they repair the door. So when they do the shredding of the door, I was actually just sat there like bawling at 11 a.m. on a sofa on a Saturday. And then obviously when you get the scene of the door being repaired, I cried a little bit then as well, because I was like, this is really cute from Mike. And then when she says Kitty, I cried as well. So I was a bit of a weeping mess, if I'm honest, for a Saturday morning. I thought, I know it's so generic, so it is my favourite scenes, but you don't get that response without the first 80 minutes of what that story has been, what the characters have done with one another. And it sort of, really changed my mind on the film. Not that I didn't like it before. I always liked it, but I was never sort of wowed by it. And this time around, I'm like, wow, like I was left a wreck. I was like, God knows what's going to happen to Up when I get there again.
And I think the thing for me about the ending is the choice to not show Boo. And just to leave it on his and the way that the smile is animated on his face, I think is beautifully done, because it's the way that it rises. It's like a sunrise, and it's like, oh, and it's such a strong emotional ending that I was watching it today when I rewatched it today, going, oh, no one would do that now, right? We don't have those punchy ending so much anymore, because there's a studio note going, no, we got to turn the camera around and show that Boo's there, that it's still Boo, because audiences might think it's a different child and be confused. The simplicity of the ending to just go, the audience and the children in the audience are smart enough to understand what's just happened and who he's looking at, and to just focus on the emotion of it, I think is really one of the best, and maybe my favorite Pixar ending.
Definitely. It's such a beautiful moment. I always think about the door scene when there are so many different doors and they're zipping around from left, right, and center, because it technologically is such a crazy sequence to have put together with all of those moving parts. That's one I always go back to, just to think about in a 1999 when they're animating this kind of frame of mind, how complex that must have been, figuring out all of those moving parts.
And to jump in the doors as well and go to the completely different parts of the world too, that thank God they didn't open one door there in New York and then they're in LA. It's like, no, let's go to France, which is a great tease for Ratatouille, maybe not tease, but they were working on a film to be in Paris. You get where they throw Randall, which is, oh God, I don't want to like a crude joke, but it was like they wouldn't have a shovel, but it's a kids animated film. I'm very sure if that came into there, there'd be a shotgun with the type of family they're going for. Love the Pizza Planet van. Great to see that in there as well. But the doors, it does remind me a little bit of Toy Story 2, and I always used to think that maybe because the ending, you've got the airport and you've got the luggage. completely different concepts, but both equally as impressive from like an animation perspective. But the Doors just takes it to another level. They're sat like, this is what we can accomplish now in this style, and it's the fur as well blowing in the wind that I think adds to it.
Definitely.
My favorite scene is put that thing back where it came from. Dum dum dum. So help me, and cut. I think it's just one of the funniest bits Billy Crystal has ever done.
Yeah.
And that's I also have that distinct memory of like ever since 2001, I've been regularly doing that bit. It's so funny.
Do you think they had a lot of improv and animated it into play? Because I not like refuse to believe they stuck on a script, but it's so authentic. I am sat there some of the time in this film with Mike, like, how, like, could it have been? We're gonna, because to be fair to Pixar as a studio, they would play around, like they'd like to have fun, like what you used to get with the outtakes and the bloopers. Which, by the way, the removal of the bloopers from this film, I know they stopped doing them officially after Toy Story 2 with Bugs Life. Monsters Inc. has them on the DVD extras. They're available on YouTube. I miss them being in the credits. I don't think it's a thing of the past. I think it's a really fun additional way to just have a bit of a fun with the voice cast, with the animators. I feel something's missing without them.
This is true of all movies. All movies should bring, unless it's like a serious movie. If your movie is anyway fun, I want to see the bloopers.
Yeah.
The one thing I liked about the Deadpool versus Deadpool and Wolverine is that seeing X-Men outtakes over the end. Yes. I was like, yes. I remember when cinema used to be cinema. We'd get outtakes for things.
I love it. You just, the age of the blooper reel.
And these days, if they do it, it's like a minute and it's put on YouTube like the week before it's out on DVD and no one watches it because they're not actually really funny either. They're just, haha, he did a noise on set. So,
I wonder if it's something to do with like, right, there's so much more financial pressure and the budgets are limited. There's no time for luxury. I imagine there's no time for messing around now. So it's like not funny when when you watch a lot of the like the old Hollywood. Have you seen the old Hollywood bloopers? Which are kind of funny, but also not funny because you can see that they're not. It's not fun when you mess up back then because they had, they were wasting reels of film.
Yeah,
it's just like loads of like Cary Grant going, "Oh nuts!" 25 minutes.
My favorite. This is really niche. If you go and watch any of the blooper reels for Alias, just watch Jennifer Garner mess up because it is the cutest thing you will ever see. Like there is nothing funnier than when she is trying to be in a like deadly serious spy moment and then like can't get the clip in the gun and just turns into a blubbering laughing mess. Like, if I am having a bad day, I will just watch Jennifer Garner mess up. And it just warms my heart completely. It's the best thing ever. And they released them for all 5 seasons as well. And it just, like, she is so consistently funny all the way through. It's amazing. Interesting sidebar for you there.
It's just a loss. It just makes me sad. Because when they're funny, they're as you said, it just really brings me a lot of joy. Just to have the feeling that like the movies that you love, in the junkets they tell you they had fun, but I want to see the evidence.
Show me that you really did have a good time.
Show me the evidence that you had a good time on this movie, and it actually makes me feel fonder towards the film.
Definitely.
If I'm being shown, and it's like, God, this really felt like a collaboration. This really felt like people came together and just had this beautiful experience. But maybe that doesn't happen anymore.
I don't disagree. I'd be curious to see how the real bloopers are. Unfortunately, these days, not to be that guy. Doomsday. Oh, look, it's just a sea of green screens.
Here's a cast of 30 different people that never met.
I was going to say like the blooper is
being like, who are you? Who are you meant to be?
It's going to be like a tennis ball, and they're looking at the wrong one. Like, no, that's Wolverine, not Spider-Man. And it's like Robert Downey apologizing. But that's 2020. That's coming out. If it doesn't get delayed a year after this video coming out, I think we'll find out. Apparently, there's a trailer coming soon, so they say online. Not to go on a side tangent because I'm watching the clock, but there was a great the Discussing Film Parody did a great tweet this week, and it was like a list of film trailers attached to Avatar.
Oh.
They put like the Odyssey, Avengers Doomsday, and they snuck in Cars bracket live action remake, not to bring up Cars for the 10th time. So many people fell for it. I had someone message me asking if it's actually real, and I was like, what?
The world
People
of
don't read the
misinformation.
accounts they like to share. I know. I thought it was an incredible joke, though. But with that,
that's good that I didn't, because I was watching the Porsche Cup Brazil yesterday, and they do in endurance racing have been racing a Lightning McQueen car, like a Rustys. And I was tempted to post it to be like first footage of live action cars, and I was like, people would fall for it, so I'm gonna not do that. But you know what? If you want live action cars, you should get into endurance racing. Lightning McQueen is out there. He's alive. Well, actually, no, he's dead, because that car had engine failure yesterday, so he's currently dead.
Okay,
but he'll come back next season. Don't worry about it.
Oh, that's great. I mean, yeah, the time of the internet. It is interesting with the cast. Yeah, sorry, we've spoken about cast so much that I feel really bad it's coming soon. I have found a very big cast fan to jump on that one, I'm not going to lie.
That's got to be Jed, right?
Yeah, it's Jed.
Good.
Can you ask him about Car Pope to explain that as a cars expert and the implications of car Catholicism?
Does that mean there's a cars conclave?
Yeah, there is.
Exactly.
What did you do a different? Different. I'm gonna sidetrack into. You are right. It's a can of worms that doesn't stop.
Car Henry VIII. Car Reformation.
How do you behead a car?
Chop the bonnet off.
I don't know.
Be like, oh god, I almost said Shrinaries. No, thank you. Sorry, different conversation. Final thoughts on Monsters Inc. And this is an interesting one to do because whilst I don't have the history with the film, I feel like I've got a history with the concept of it, the monsters, the characters, as I said, and I think it's a solid film. And solid is probably the wrong word. It's the fourth film from Pixar, and it's another excellent Pixar film. It functions for children. I think it functions for adults. As fans of the film industry, I love the people involved in this, and the beauty of animated films that you'd have known from when you were younger, whether it be Cars or Toy Story, you get to see the careers. You know what we spoke of John Goodman, that you see the careers of these people when you're a little bit older or in a different mindset, and you realize, oh wow, like that person was involved on this. And I think Monster Inc. delivers from all perspectives, from innovation from Pixar to the animation to the story. And for me, as I said, weeping a lot at the ending is kind of the best thing I can say to this, that I kind of get why so many people have spoken about this over the years, people I went to school with, that always talk about Monsters Inc. being one of their fondest ones. And I'm very happy for them, and I'm glad I got to see that a little bit more. So yeah, all round glowing for me, if I'm honest.
I think Monsters Inc. is my favorite Pixar movie. Just I think it's a combination. I think the idea itself is just so simple and brilliant. And the wealth of visual jokes is like, just every frame has just something like weird and funny and cool about it. And I think the monster designs are genius. And I think Billy Crystal is a genius. And I feel like having Billy Crystal at his full powers in this, I've always just think he's hilarious. Randall, love him. And I think also with Monsters Inc. for me, the design, there is this sort of like the opening credits, the sort of Saul Bass opening credits are beautiful. And it's like quite a classy film, and the elegant in the way that it's designed. It's a very beautiful film. So to me, it's just like everything comes together perfectly, like a perfect amount of everything, like silly and incredibly smart at the same time. No notes. My favorite part, I guess if they could put Remy in Monsters Inc., because I love Remy, but I don't know if I love all of Ratatouille. I mean, I love Ratatouille, but if they could just take Remy out and put him in this one, then it'd be perfect.
That's a great ride at Disney Paris. Ratatouille is a really fun one.
Yeah.
There's
a little rat comes and pulls your hair. I'm kidding, it doesn't happen. really should do that. You just get locked in, and then a rat comes and pulls your hair for 20 minutes. And you're like,
That's
wow.
all it is.
Just like the movie.
I don't know how I follow both of you on that one, because you just both said it perfectly. Yeah, especially talking about the opening credits and how kind of classy they are. It has a lot of the sensibility of cartoons that I remember watching when I was younger, that were older, from before I was born, that I think of as very traditional and classy and just wonderful, like nostalgic, amazing animation, like classic, proper, iconic animation. And I think this has all of those sensibilities, but with what was the technology of the time, the most modern kind of contemporary way of making an animated movie, and does it all so beautifully, perfectly. It's funny, it hits you exactly when it needs to, and everything that we've just said about amazing cast, everything. I will also say no notes, I think. And I think it is probably up there as my favourite, between this and Wall-E as my favourite.
Interesting. I'm going to be very curious. I'm currently re-ranking them. So after each one, I've got a private list on Letterboxd. Then when we get around to the top 10, right at the end of the series, because I've never watched a studio do its films in order. I don't know if the MCU can count, because I know it's a studio, but it's sort of also just Marvel. But I'm really curious about revisiting a lot of these films I've only seen once. And I think that's kind of the excitement for me doing this series too, that it isn't films I know everything about. That I'm going to learn a lot, hopefully. I've got some really cool books. I've got one above my desk, which I need to start reading as well. And I'm excited to see a little bit more and bring on people. And it's been lovely to have you both on for this. I'm very privileged to have you both on, taking time out of your day, on your weekend as well, to join me as I've waffled on 2.5 hours sleep across the last 24 hours for different reasons. It was worth it after the results of the F1, that's all I'm going to say. Where I want to find out next is, what are you both up to? Neil, get your comic on. This is going up in mid-December, so just for a little bit of context.
What am I doing?
Not what are you up to like 4 weeks in advance. What can people find? And they should already follow you, because we've had you on so many times. You've got the podcast, you've got the website. The floor is yours.
Floor is mine. Okay, mid-December, Avatar. I might be doing something Avatar this week. Who knows? We'll be getting towards the end of Stranger Things, which I don't feel ready to let it go. As we're recording this, I just finished my rewatch, and I'm about to sit down tomorrow and do a big podcast on all my thoughts on Stranger Things up to this point. So I'm kind of eating, sleeping, breathing Stranger Things. But yeah, if people want to find me, social media, I'm at Neil Vagg on all platforms. And if you want to find the website, podcast, everything else, it's all at Get Your Comic Con.
Excellent. And Clarisse, you also have a book coming out. Please plug the book for people that are unaware.
My book. I have a book called Wes Anderson, a Retrospective, that will have just come out when this releases.
That's so cool.
So yeah, you can get it. I mean, get it online easily wherever you get your books online, and it will be in bookshops. Unfortunately, because of the time we're recording this, I don't know where yet. But you know, I'm on social media. If you're struggling to find it and you would like to buy it, I will help you find a copy. But yeah, that would be really cool if you want to buy. If you like Wes Anderson. And I got some early reviews, and apparently there's anecdotes in there people have never heard before. So if you want to learn new things about, because a lot of stuff has been written about Wes Anderson. He's a very popular guy. So I'm really hoping that this book can offer some new things.
Excellent. Everybody, please follow Clarisse. Your reviews go up on The Independent as well.
I will have seen and reviewed Avatar Fire and Ash, and I will have some opinions about The Whale, because I really enjoyed The Whale in the last one.
Excellent. That is mid-December. It's the last big film of the year, and we will still be doing the Pixar series.
Marty Supreme. Christmas Day.
Boxing Day for us.
Oh, Boxing Day. Sorry.
Do not forget. I'm gonna butcher the title. SpongeBob SquarePants: Search for the SquarePants, December 20th.
Yes.
Oh, what a release date!
By Ice Spice. SpongeBob. Big pants.
Mark Hamill also, in a SpongeBob movie.
Big guy.
He's cropped up a lot this year. He's been on a lot of things this year. And he hasn't done Pixar yet. That's just made me realise. I said that really angry. I didn't mean to. Frank Oz has, though, thanks to
There you
this.
go. Okay, so
Yeah.
later in the series, there is a video for you. People who have not done Pixar who should do Pixar. A perspective video.
Okay, we've got Adam Driver on the list. Okay, that's one. But speaking of Pixar, let's preview the next 4 very briefly. So, as you can tell, and we've been pre-recorded this, next Tuesday the 23rd, we'll be discussing Finding Nemo, followed by The Incredibles, followed by, for maybe, the secret hidden episode. This was like the unofficial Cars preview. That's going up on the 6th of January. And Ratatouille, who we've also spoken a lot about, it's going to be up on the 13th of January. So we are bracing and heading into the new year. I'm excited to reveal to you who we've got working on these with us. It's a very busy time on the channel. We will have our Christmas series airing whilst this video is going up. I think Gremlins is the next one we're doing. And the one we just did was
Such a good movie.
Bad Santa? No, The Holiday. Hans Zimmer score. I'm so strangely between projects at the moment of knowing in the past what I'm doing in the future whilst in the present for you all watching at home. So that being said, I'm going to round out. Thank you both for joining me. As I said, thank you everybody at home for watching. It's been a pleasure doing the series so far. We are 4 episodes in. As usual, any feedback, please comment at us. Let us know things you think we're missing, things you think we're not. Your thought on Monsters Inc., your thoughts on Monsters University, and the TV series that airs on Disney Plus as well. Let us know your thoughts. But that is me rounding out. Thank you all so much for watching, and take care.